How's it going, everybody? This is Desmond Dukes, and welcome to this audio version of Platform Gamer Podcast. It's not like an official first podcast, but it's just I'm doing this audio form for now, just to kind of get something out there to you guys. So I hope you guys enjoy, and thank you for everybody that we invited to our Facebook page. We also have a Twitter, and we have Instagram, and we also have YouTube. So if you go on our YouTube channel, which this audio one will also be on there, make sure you subscribe to the channel, turn on that bell for all notifications, and of course leave a comment and smash that like button. So to get right into it, obviously for a lot of you that were able to watch it, Xbox did its Games Showcase just the other day. I believe it started 1 p.m. Eastern. It was very, very good. I actually posted a tweet and said that I was impressed with it. And I also put it up on our Platform Gamer Podcast Facebook page. So if you haven't yet checked out the Xbox Showcase, check it out. It's a lot of first-party developers. I mean, you had Rare on there, Microsoft Studios, heck, even Bungie was on there. So, they're back together for who knows how long. But regardless, this entire thing was really, really impressive. There were a couple things that I was kind of questionable on, but for the most part, it was good. So to kick things off, we started off with a countdown, and that countdown led into the first trailer that we got to see, which was Halo Infinite. And the cinematic sequence, I didn't know what it was at first, and then once I heard Cortana's voice, I realized what it was. And so I instantly kind of got hyped, because I haven't played a Halo game and since I think the last one I played was Halo 3 was the last one I played. So, oh no, I take that back. Halo Reach was the last one that I played. But it was very good. I really liked how the gameplay is, and it's set up to where as if the game itself is a bit more open-ended, which is something new for the franchise. It still takes place on this giant Halo ring, but you can actually go farther, as opposed to in previous games where you can only go so far, and then of course you get the invisible barrier, so you couldn't go super far. But this one is supposed to be more open-ended. You can go out farther, and the enemies look hard. A lot of the new gadgets that I seen in this game looked really cool. Like you had a grappling hook, which was very interesting. You could still drive the Warthog, pick up ammo for your weapon. The way the weapon shot in this one was kind of different for me. Like, I'm used to how the first couple of Halos were, but this one seemed like, I don't know, it seemed like it didn't have a lot of punch to it. Like, it seemed weak, but nevertheless, I mean, the grenades and everything were really cool. And they showed off some new grenade, it looked like. I'm not for sure what it was. I think it was like one of those like special imploding grenades or something. I'm not sure, but it looked really cool. So all in all, I was impressed. I think Halo is going to be that's the game that's really going to make or break the system. So they came right out the gate with that. And it's been getting kind of mixed reviews. Some people liked it, some people didn't. But for the most part, I actually thoroughly enjoyed it. So I'm very, very pleased with what I saw. I mean, obviously, graphically, and it's still early to tell, but graphically, it looked really good. I still think it can be a little bit better, but the game is also, too, the game is supposed to run at 60 frames per second. You couldn't really tell from the video unless you probably had like one of those really good TVs that can do like up to like 120 hertz or whatever, so it would actually run faster, or just play it on a play the trailer on a computer. But nevertheless, it looked good. It looked really good. The second game that they showed was one that I actually got taken by surprise, and it was by Rare. And I was thinking, okay, it might be another Perfect Dark, because we've been hearing rumblings about another Perfect Dark that might be coming. But this was actually really cool. The game is called Everwild. And what it is, it's almost like a shell-shaded type of game, but it moved incredibly fluent and it looked really good. It's almost like you command like different spirits in order to help the land, help the animals and things like that. Looked really interesting. That would be one that I would probably rent just to kind of check out and see what it's like, but it looked really cool. It's one of those games that you look at it and you think, man, this could be something, you know? Or, you know, if you're like a super big action junkie, you're probably watching it and you're like, I don't care. But nevertheless, the game itself looked really interesting, and I am actually looking forward to that. The next game that they showed, which I thought was actually kind of cool and was different, was a game called Tell Me Why. And Tell Me Why follows the story of a brother and sister who you kind of go through their journey and remembering what happened to, I guess, someone being shot or killed or something. I'm not quite sure what the trailer was trying to get at, but it's almost like they're doing their own investigation. And so they go back to their home, and it all stems around their mother. So their mother plays a key role in this situation. So you kind of follow this dramatic journey, and it's almost like watching like a TV miniseries. So it looked really interesting, and it would be one for sure that I would like to check out just to kind of get a better feel for the story. But from what I could tell from it, it's one that you would think, you know, gosh, the mom is the mom really that evil that they would kill a child or shoot a child? So it's really hard to tell, but I'm really intrigued by what I saw from that game. And graphically, it looked all right. It looked not bad. The characters I felt probably needed a little more work, but from the early telling of what I saw, it's going to be a good game. Just from a dramatic standpoint, I think it's going to tell a really, really good story. The next game that they showed was, I'm trying to think. What was that next game? Oh, The Outer Worlds. The Outer Worlds. So The Outer Worlds, it kind of played off like the old 60s, like the intro itself was like the old 1950s, 60s, 40s type, where the guy would narrate, but make all these cheesy sci-fi lines and stuff like that. So I don't know if you play like a space bandit or something like that, but The Outer Worlds looks really interesting. And it would be one that I would definitely want to check out, simply because it looked like it would be something different from a storytelling standpoint. And it kind of reminds me a little bit like Borderlands, but it's not Borderlands. But I think it all takes place on this different planet. So that was pretty interesting. So that one is for sure on my list of ones to check out. And it looks cool. The weapons on there looked really cool. The next game that they showed was one called Grounded. And Grounded reminds me of a video game version of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. So you're in your backyard, and it's a group of you. Now it could be, I believe, it's a group of four of you. So it's a four. So you from tell right out the gate that it's a 4-player game, and you guys are going through and you're fighting ants and spiders, and you're trying to solve puzzles, and you're helping each other get through different obstacles by being clever and strategic. That looks fun. That looks really fun. That would be something that I can get with my kids on, and we can go and have a good time and really, really kind of take it in. So that one looked interesting. I look forward to checking that one out. The next game, of course, which I thought I was very, very intrigued by, and it was called Avowed. And Avowed, I don't know if you play as like a mercenary or someone like that, but it takes place, it is almost like a Knights Templar in a sense, where you run around with your sword, but you can do like magic and you can shoot arrows and you're fighting, skeleton monsters. When I first saw this, I thought it was like there was a game that came out for the original PlayStation. I believe it was called something ring, where you get like these different rings and each one did different magic, but it wasn't that one. So this was actually really cool. Graphically, it looks really good. It looks really, really good. And they didn't show too much of it, but it was enough to make me kind of go, I like that. I like that. So that one will be really interesting. The next one is it's an interactive narrated drama. And I believe it is called, let me see. I'm trying to bring it up here. Trying to bring up this game. As Dusk Falls. There we go. So As Dusk Falls is one where it's almost like, from what I can tell from the trailer, it's moving still pictures. Where, they would tell a narrative and it looked like a still picture, but then you could see like the head kind of like shift, like the head moved, or like someone running and it was like still running. It was kind of weird looking, but I guess they got a bunch of professional actors to play these different roles, and the story of it seems like something that I could definitely get into. But As Dusk Falls, that one will be a different one. Side note, I've noticed that on a lot of these different trailers, there was a lot of minorities in these roles. So I think Xbox is trying to do something different by displaying different people doing different things and using a person, making a character of color, which is nice. So I look forward to checking some of those games out. But there's a couple more, and we'll get to those a little bit later. But there's a couple more that have African American characters. The next game, I think I was probably the most excited for. They showed kind of a developmental teaser trailer for the new Hellblade. I have never played Hellblade. Apparently it had come out on, I believe, the original Xbox. And I've never played that game. And everybody keeps telling me how really good it is. But when I saw the developmental trailer of this, I about lost it. It looked so real. It's ridiculous. And the fact, too, that was the first Xbox game that we actually seen that's using the Unreal 5 engine. Which is, if you've seen the PlayStation Showcase, they used a demo game to display the Unreal Engine 5. So Hellblade is going to take full advantage of it. And my goodness, that game looks absolutely stunning. And I'm actually cannot wait and looking very forward to playing that game. I think that was the one game that looked probably the most hype for me. So that's making me want to go back and check that and check out the original one just to kind of get a feel for what the game is going to be like. But I may just go into this thing fresh. I don't know. Let's see. The next game that they talked about was the new Psychonauts 2. Now, I've never played Psychonauts 1, but I knew of the game. This one was probably my least favorite looking one. But they did get Jack Black, and that was kind of cool because the music that they played with him singing was kind of interesting, and I liked that. But the game itself, it looked really trippy. Like if you were on acid and you watched this game, you would think you were like doing some serious hallucinations because this game looked like it was all over the place. But it looked cool, you know. But again, that was probably my least favorite one. I think it's just because of that, where it's kind of like it seemed like it was out of place for me. I'm not sure how to really put that, but it was different. It was different. So, I mean, I'll probably still end up checking it out eventually, but that's probably going to be a rental for me if I check it out at all. So, yeah. So I hope you guys are enjoying what you're what you're hearing. I'm just kind of just basically giving an overview and of, you know, what type of games that they showed on here and kind of giving you guys a feel of what to look for. You can also check out the video. It is on YouTube. And of course, the video link is on our Facebook page. So if you go on Platform Gamer Podcast on Facebook, you should be able to find it because I believe it's the first thing that I posted. But it's in there, so you can check it out yourself, and then you can kind of see the games. Now, this whole game show lasted about an hour. I think it was more like about 58 minutes. So you got a good hour's worth of games. Now, keep in mind, people, a lot of these games were first-party developers. Like, so the one they showed before, which wasn't really like that good because it was mainly just a bunch of trailers, but no actual gameplay footage. This time around, they kind of learned. They've seen what Sony did, which Sony, I thought they did a very well done job by not only displaying the game trailers, but giving us actual gameplay footage. So, and I think that's the biggest takeaway that I think Xbox and Microsoft took from that and utilized it in this showcase. So that really helped them out quite a bit. Because there were quite a few games where you got to see the actual gameplay in action. And the next part that they showed in this showcase was a message from Sarah Bond. Now, Sarah Bond is the bring this back. Because she's kind of the one of the head marketing people, I believe. Let me double check. I'm just trying to find all this out. All right, so Sarah Bond is the head of Xbox partnership and ecosystem. So she basically lets people know, hey, we wanted to get you a part of our ecosystem. This is what we're bringing to the table, you know, and that's her job, is to make sure that, you know, you guys, if you're not already Xbox gamers, to turn you into Xbox gamers. And that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Now, keep in mind, this showcase, a lot of these games were exclusive games. They're going to be exclusive games to Xbox. Now, the total number that I've got so far for these exclusive games is 22. So there's going to be 22 games, and 11 of them out of the 22 will be at launch. But here is the kicker. This is the icing on the cake right here. With Xbox Game Pass, you can play every single game, unless it's one that's in development or whatever. But every game that they showed at this showcase that is technically done, you can play right now on Xbox Game Pass. Now, keep in mind, you won't have full access to these games, I'm assuming. I think it's more like demo versions. So that's what I'm going off of. But that's really cool. And then, even if you don't decide to get an Xbox Series X at launch, you can still play those games through Xbox Game Pass, which is really cool. Now, Xbox Game Pass, what that is it is a subscription service, kind of like Netflix, where you can play, specific Xbox titles, some first party. The majority of them are probably like indie games or even older games. But you can play those on pretty much any device that supports it, whether it's a phone, your TV, your Xbox console, whether it could be 360. It doesn't matter. A tablet, your computer, laptop. Xbox Game Pass gives you access to all those games. And with some of those being launch titles for the Xbox Series X, which we still have no clue how much it's going to be and when it's actually going to launch. Some are saying it may launch in September to kind of beat Sony's, because there's rumors going around that Sony is going to release theirs in November, but nothing has been confirmed. So take what I'm saying as a grain of salt. We don't know when these consoles are launching. It'll be completely up to the companies themselves, but that's the information that we got right now. But Xbox Game Pass is pretty cool. I'm not quite sure on the specifics on price for the Game Pass, but I'm sure there's different tiers. Like there's probably like a low level, a mid level, and a ultimate level type tier for Xbox Game Pass. Sorry, I had to take a quick drink. But moving on from that, another game that actually looks pretty cool, that is actually making its way to Xbox Series X and at a full 60 frames per second. And you can also play it on Game Pass, which is Destiny 2. Now, Destiny 2 is actually going to have an exclusive level or an exclusive expansion for the Xbox Series X. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So there's a lot of good stuff coming from that. The next game, which looked really creepy but looked really cool, was one called Stalker 2. And Stalker 2, I don't know if you play as a sniper or you're like watching people, and I don't know. I didn't get much from the trailer, but it looked like it took place like at Chernobyl almost, because it had the Ferris wheel and everything looked damaged all around it and plant life everywhere. It was one of those ones where I was just like, that looks interesting. I mean, it showed like an underground tunnel you could go through. There's some woods, and you look like as a guy that can, that could be hunting people. Hence probably the Stalker name. I'm not sure. But, yeah, that game looked interesting. That looked interesting. Another game that they showed was the new Warhammer. That new Warhammer looked really good. And it was just a cinematic sequence. So they really didn't give us any gameplay. But the new Warhammer Dark Tide, and I have played the Warhammer games before, and they're actually really fun, and I enjoy them. So it's pretty cool that we're getting one for the Series X. By the way, on another side note, all the games that's going to be, or at least I'll just say the majority of the games, at least the ones that they specifically said, will be running at 60 frames per second. So that's going to run really smooth and fluent on your Xbox Series X. And the Series X is supposed to be pretty powerful. So if it can do 60 frames and cut down on load times and stuff, hey, I'm all for it. Yep, I am all for it. Of course, they showed a trailer for Tetris Effect, which I already own for my PlayStation VR, and it is phenomenal on PlayStation VR. I mean, it's like you're inside the Tetris world. So, but Tetris Effect is coming to the Xbox Series X. So I think that's probably one of the few that is not an exclusive, because obviously it's already out on PlayStation. But it'll be cool for anybody that, wants an Xbox Series X or have Game Pass. You'll be able to play that game. But you won't get the full-fledged experience of playing it in VR. So playing it in virtual reality is a whole nother level of fun. Now, the next game they showed was one called The Gunk. And that one looked interesting, because what it is that you play as a character that goes through different planets on different lands, and your job is to suck up the gunk before it turns into different creatures and monsters of gunk that you eventually have to kill. And then plant life and stuff starts to regrow again. It looked really interesting. That looked really interesting. And it's not one that I would probably actually play. But for anybody that's into that kind of stuff, where it's a third person view game, and it might be something that'd be right up your alley. So that would be cool for you. Now the next game that I'm also really, really excited for, and this was another highlight from this one is called The Medium. And The Medium, I'm telling you right now, The Medium reminds me a lot of Silent Hill, but done differently and done so well, because you basically play as this character and she is in between two worlds. So whichever world you're playing as, the other world is happening simultaneously. So you'll hear things in one world that's not in your world, and vice versa. And certain things, there could be a wall in one world where it's all it's almost like you're in hell, everything is damaged and destroyed, and it looks like it has this organic ooze, and there's fire everywhere, and then it's like you're in the real world. And it's cool because the main character, if you really pay attention to the trailer, you'll notice that I guess what you would call the real world in a sense, she has blonde hair, but when she's into, I'm assuming is why it's going to be called The Medium, which is in the alternate world, it's white and it's short versus, the blonde and long hair. So that one looked really, really cool. I mean, I would definitely check that one out. That one's on my high priority list of games that I want to check out. And it reminds me a lot like Silent Hill, where you're in between two different worlds. But the only difference is these worlds are happening simultaneously. So definitely looking forward to that. Another one that I'm really looking forward to, and I haven't played this type of game in a long time, is the new Phantasy Star. Yes, there is a new Phantasy Star. It's going to run at 60 frames per second on the Xbox Series X, and it's called New Genesis Phantasy Star Online 2. Graphically, looks amazing. It's open world. You can go anywhere, do anything, kill a bunch of monsters and stuff. And it's still like it felt like the original Phantasy Star that I owned on the Dreamcast, and I loved that one. So this one's got me hyped. But this one is one that's actually not coming out at launch. It's coming out in 2021. So we're thinking probably springtime. So who knows? Could be spring, could be summer. Who knows? But either way, the new Phantasy Star looks amazing. I like what they showed as far as like you could still do like mock-up things that you can do on your character as far as customization goes, where you can change different armor, you can change the weapons, you can change like their hairstyles and things like that. So they really kind of expanded on that. And the only question that I have is this still going to be like, is it going to be like a massively multiplayer online game, or is it just going to be strictly you hop in this world and the majority of them are going to be NPCs, but you'll run into some players? So I'm assuming it's going to be an MMORPG, but probably not. So either way, I look forward to checking it out. This will be interesting, and we'll kind of go from there. And the final game that they showed, and it was just a teaser trailer from what I understand it. Ladies and gentlemen, we are getting, yes indeed, another Fable. I absolutely loved the first Fable when it came out. I absolutely enjoyed that game. That was super fun, and it kind of had vibes of a create your own adventure kind of deal, where you could pick and choose what you like how different things happen. So whatever you pick determines how where the story's going to go, which is really cool because I know it's done very, very well through Aquatic Dreams with their game series on the PlayStation, like Heavy Rain, Detroit, and Beyond Two Souls. So this kind of is like that, but more fantasy. So if you haven't played the first Fable, and I do believe it came out for the original Xbox, but the first Fable was fantastic, and people have been foaming at the mouth for another Fable, and we're finally getting one. Now, keep in mind, this was just a teaser trailer, so they only showed a little bit. You didn't even see the main character, but you do see the fairy. And if you remember in the first Fable, there was this fairy, and it followed your main character. It kind of reminded me of Zelda, So I am definitely looking forward to that. We did not get anything on Lockhart, which is Microsoft's all digital version of the Series X, but they're calling it Lockhart. So no news on that at this showcase, which is perfectly fine. I actually kind of expected it not to make an appearance here, but I believe Sony does have another game show that they're going to be doing, our game showcase. So they will have one coming up, and I believe Xbox also has another one. So this has been actually really nice because the majority of the time we would get these kinds of games and stuff at E3, and it all just be dumped like at one time. But with COVID making its way through everything, and a lot of different events and programs were shut down because of it. Different gaming studios have come up with different ideas on how to present these games. And instead of getting it all in like one big massive entree, they just gave it to you in little supplements, like just little samples. So it was really, really cool. Now, what I do expect from Sony's end on their next showcase, whenever that happens, I expect them to reveal the pre-order date, the price, and what launch titles they have. Because keep in mind, right now, we have no idea what Sony PlayStation's launch titles look like because we haven't had any. Their first showcase showed off a bunch of games, but none of them were launch titles. So this will be really interesting how Sony responds to what Microsoft just did. So I hope you guys enjoyed everything. Thank you so much for listening. This has been a Platform Gamer podcast. Not an exclusive, but it's one that I wanted to throw together for you guys. I know we're working hard trying to get ready to do the actual visual part of the podcast, but for now, this is just an audio version. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you so much. Make sure you check us out everywhere. Spotify. I don't know why I said that. I was thinking about music. But you can check us out on Facebook. You can check us out on Twitter. You can also check us out on Instagram. So definitely keep track of us. We'll drop little things that happens. We'll drop different game trailers that we're showing. And if you don't care about the whole show and you just want trailers, then let us know in the comments, whether it's on Facebook or YouTube or anything. And then we can kind of start grabbing them up individually and then throwing them on here so that way you guys can check them out. All right. So a couple more things I want to talk about real quick because I forgot to mention them earlier. There were just a couple other games that were shown, and one of them was a big one, and I have no clue why I didn't talk about this earlier, so I apologize. Forza Motorsport. The new Forza Motorsport game looks absolutely amazing. Now, it could have been, just a cinematic sequence, but nevertheless, those cars looked good, and I think that's going to be the game changer for me because I really enjoyed the first couple of Forza Motorsport games. I haven't had a chance to play any of the other ones, but I really, really enjoyed those games, and I wanted to get back into those because they were just fantastic. So there was that one, and then there was one that I'm not sure what it was. It was State of Decay 3. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't even played State of Decay 1 or 2, so I really don't know what I was really looking for. This harps back to earlier that the main character is an African-American female, which is pretty cool. So it's nice to see diversity going into these games more. I mean, the Gunk also has an African American character or looking character in its game. So we're seeing a lot more of the ethnicities being put out there. So that's really cool. But State of Decay 3, the clip itself was a girl who was sitting by a fire, and then a wolf comes out, and then she scares the wolf away. So then this was at night. So then it goes into the daytime, and she sees that same wolf being eaten by a deer who's already dead. So a zombified deer. And all she has is her Daryl looking crossbow. So that game, I mean, just from that, I was intrigued. So I want to check that out, but I want to see some gameplay. And I think what this did was a lot of the showcase, was some gameplay, but there were still a bunch of games that were just videos. But they were good. They were edited well. But the other game was one involving a bird called Ori. And Ori looks like that would be a fun game to play, just to kind of do different things, because you have this bird, and then there's a character that you play, a very short character, I'm not quite sure what to make of it. But the animation on it looked really good. Looked really good, especially like the water, some of the landscapes that they had on there. It all looked really good. So, but those were the few things that I missed. Sorry I missed those. But thankfully I was able to remember that, oh, I didn't get to talk about those. I was so busy trying to make sure that I caught everything that I actually missed some stuff. But anyway, all in all, the showcase for Xbox was really good. It wasn't a grand slam, but it was really solid. You know, really, really solid showing. And I think, and this was more impressive than their first one. So it was a really good step up. It didn't quite wow me like I wanted to, but there was enough in there to kind of get my ears and my eyes perked up. So that's a huge plus. So, and like I said, I haven't owned an Xbox in a long time. So for me to even now possibly looking at, hey, a Series X later on down the road into the future, it might be possible. So I don't know. We'll see. Right now, my focus is PlayStation 5. But anyway, thank you all again for checking us out. This was not an actual, I guess we could say it's a podcast. We'll just say it's the podcast. But but this was, we're trying here. So like I said, I'm just waiting for the webcam to come in and then we'll be good to go. But again, solid showing by Xbox. This is a great big step up for them. I think it is going to perk some people's eyes and ears, as it did me, who hasn't played Xbox in a long time. So this got us interested. So of course, they got more stuff to drop going into the greater scheme of things. But thank you all so much for joining me here on Platform Gamer Podcast on this special episode talking about the Xbox Games Showcase. Make sure you check us out on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, and hit us up on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. Turn on that bell for all notifications. Smash that like button and leave us a comment. We love comments, just like on this other stuff that I do. Just leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. We still have a long way to go. My brother, who is the co-host, was unable to make it, so I did this one solo. But when we actually get the podcast fully up and going, he will be joining me on every occasion. So, again, thank you all for joining us. Make sure you definitely check us out. We do have our video versions that will be coming. When, I don't know. But, yeah. So, you guys take care. Have a wonderfully good night. And enjoy the next day. And we'll talk to you guys next time. Take care.